The words crashed into the quiet like shattered glass, spoken through trembling breath and swallowed tears, carrying desperation that refused to stay hidden. She needed a boyfriend for tomorrow, not for love, not for romance, but to survive a moment that threatened to expose every crack in her carefully held life. In the bright, spotless kitchen where grief had no place to hide, fate leaned in closer than either of them realized, and a man with more money than problems heard the plea that would change both their lives forever. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that one moment can rewrite a destiny, take a second right now to like this video. Share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel Soul Tale, because stories like this exist to remind us we are never truly alone. She had always been the strong one, the dependable daughter, the woman who held everything together while the world quietly tested her limits. But that morning, seated at the kitchen table with her phone pressed against her ear and tears blurring the clean white walls around her, strength finally gave way. Tomorrow was her sister's engagement party, a celebration meant to honor love and success. But for her, it had become a cruel mirror reflecting everything she lacked. After years of caring for a sick parent, sacrificing her own dreams, and enduring a relationship that ended in betrayal, she was arriving alone to a family that measured worth in appearances. The simple request for a plus one had turned into an unspoken judgment, and she felt herself shrinking beneath it. Behind her, unseen but unmistakably present, stood a man who did not belong in that kitchen by accident. He was there to inspect the house for purchase, another property in a portfolio too large to remember, dressed in understated luxury that spoke softly of wealth. He had built an empire by ignoring emotions and trusting numbers, by moving through life untouched by other people's pain. Yet as he waited politely near the doorway, he witnessed something raw and unfiltered, a woman unraveling under the weight of expectations she never asked for. The sentence she whispered into the phone lodged itself in his chest, unfamiliar and uncomfortable, stirring something he thought he had buried long ago. She ended the call and sat frozen, ashamed of her weakness, unaware that someone else had just seen her at her most vulnerable. When she finally turned and noticed him, her face flushed with embarrassment, but exhaustion dulled her instinct to pretend. He saw not a mess, but a person standing at the edge of breaking, and instead of stepping away as he always did, he stayed. He understood pressure, though of a different kind, and in her tears he recognized the loneliness that wealth had never cured for him. His decision did not arrive like a lightning strike. It formed quietly, built from empathy he rarely allowed himself to feel. He had lost his own family years ago, trading connection for control, success for solitude. The idea of walking into a room where no one knew his name, where he could simply be present rather than impressive, stirred a longing he could not ignore. Helping her was irrational, unnecessary, and completely against his nature, which made it feel dangerously real. What followed was not a fairy tale transformation, but a tentative agreement between two strangers bound by circumstance. Over the next day, they learned the shapes of each other's lives through shared silences and hesitant smiles. She discovered that beneath his calm exterior lived a man tired of being untouchable, of being admired but never truly seen. He discovered that her resilience was not weakness, that her tears were evidence of love given too freely, not failure. The closer tomorrow crept, the more their borrowed roles blurred, and something genuine began to take root. The engagement party unfolded like a carefully staged performance, all polished laughter and subtle comparisons. As they arrived together, her posture changed, not because she had someone on her arm, but because she felt supported for the first time in years. He watched her navigate the room with grace she did not realize she possessed, and pride surprised him when he saw the way others responded to her warmth. In that room full of judgments and expectations, they became each other's quiet refuge, sharing glances that said more than words ever could. The moment that mattered most came not from approval but from release. She realized she no longer needed to prove anything to anyone, that her worth was not diminished by past choices or present circumstances. He realized that showing up for someone else without contracts or conditions filled a space no acquisition ever had. By the end of the night, the pretend story they had created felt less important than the truth forming between them, fragile and honest. As the days that followed returned them to their separate realities, neither could forget what had been awakened. He found himself questioning the life he had built, the walls he had fortified so carefully. She found herself dreaming again, not of being rescued, but of choosing a life that included joy. Their paths crossed again, not by obligation, but by intention, and this time there was no reason to pretend. Before this story ends, take a moment to comment below and tell us what this moment meant to you, whether you believe fate brought them together or kindness changed everything. In the end, what began as a desperate wish for a temporary solution became a reminder that the most unexpected decisions often lead to the truest connections. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even in our weakest moments we can be seen and chosen, please like, share, and engage with this video so more hearts can find this story. Sometimes all it takes is one overheard sentence to change a life, and one brave decision to turn loneliness into hope.